Hello and welcome to World News on TVP World. I'm Marie Caton. Russian intelligence was behind last year's furniture store fire in Vilnius, according to the Lithuanian prosecutor's office. While referring to these revelations, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that they confirm Polish suspicions regarding the perpetrators of these acts of sabotage.
Prosecutors also say that the suspect responsible for the fire of a furniture store in the Lithuanian capital had travelled to Poland and was linked to a recent wave of shopping centre arsons there. Reports indicate he was not acting alone, but as part of an organised group.
Dear allies, the investigation of the Lithuanian prosecutor's office has confirmed our suspicions that responsible for setting fires to shopping centres in Vilnius and Warsaw are the Russian secret services. Good to know before negotiations. Such is the nature of this state.
In the Polish version of this tweet, Tusk referred to the Marywilska shopping complex in Warsaw, which burned down in May of last year. Lithuanian authorities say the suspect visited Poland and Lithuania multiple times, using those trips to plan and prepare the attacks. While in both countries, he coordinated with other members of his group and mapped out possible escape routes. Officials also noted that the suspect repeatedly changed residences and modes of transport to evade detection by local authorities.
The EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas says there is broad political support for a multi-billion euro military initiative to aid Ukraine. She's leading the effort, which aims to bypass a potential veto from Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and provide more support to Kyiv on the front lines. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has the latest.
The EU's High Representative Kaja Kallas will aim to lobby EU foreign affairs ministers in Brussels on Monday to support a military initiative for Ukraine. Now, this package was initially tabled in February by the EU's top foreign policy boss, but was defeated at an extraordinary European Council summit. Only 26 of the 27 member states from the EU voted in support of the initiative. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán voted down the package, which was aimed at comprising roughly 20 billion euros worth of military aid, spanning 1.5 million rounds of ammunition to missile and air defence systems. But the package is not dead. We know that the High Representative has tabled it again, and she told reporters in the Belgian capital this morning that there was broad support for the measure. Let's take a listen to what she had to say regarding this announcement.
There's a broad political support for that initiative, which is good. But there's a lot of details that need to be worked out because there are also defense ministers that need to have a say, and we have a meeting of defense ministers. But it's important that the Council said that we need to move swiftly, and that is what we are doing.
So the aim today is to see what buy-in there will be from those member states. We know that High Representative wants to get unanimous support for the package, which is estimated at being valued at almost 40 billion euros now. But if she can't convince Budapest to support the measure, there is a general understanding that those member states will agree to the terms of the military aid outside of the machinations of the EU. But we'll wait and see what comes out of these high-level talks today in the Belgian capital. There will be a press conference at 2:30 with this matter being voted on formally on Thursday by those heads of state. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
And following that report from Angela Skujins, we await a press conference with Kaja Kallas, which will obviously go live to as soon as it starts. US President Donald Trump says he plans to talk with Vladimir Putin in all likelihood on Tuesday. Speaking aboard Air Force One on Sunday, Trump said his administration is moving closer to peace in Ukraine. He added that land and power plants will be part of the discussion with the Russian leader.
We learned a lot. We're doing pretty well, I think, with Russia. And we'll see, we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday, and a lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance. Well, I think we'll, be talking about land. It's a lot of land. It's a lot different than it was before the wars, And we'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's a big question. But I think we have a lot of it already discussed very much by both sides.
On Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appointed Major General Andriy Khnatov as the new Chief of General Staff. In his nightly address, Zelensky said Khnatov's main priority will be strengthening the combat readiness of Ukrainian forces. Our Kyiv correspondent Oz Katerji reports.
After weeks of heavy fighting, the Ukrainian government have confirmed that the Ukrainian armed forces have withdrawn from that key Russian town of Sudzha in the Kursk Oblast that was occupied by the Ukrainians in that lightning border raid they conducted in August 2024. Now, amidst this withdrawal, the Ukrainian government has also announced a shake-up at the top of the Ukrainian armed forces, with Andriy Khnatov being promoted to the new chief of the general staff of the Ukrainian armed forces. President Zelensky put out a statement on Sunday night to discuss this change. Let's take a listen to what he had to say in his nightly address.
Today I made personnel changes in the armed forces of Ukraine. Together with the Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky and Minister of Defense Rustem Umerov, we decided that the new chief of the general staff will be Andriy Khnatov, a combat guy. His task is to maximize the combat experience of our brigades in planning both defensive and offensive operations, as well as to actively develop the corps system.
Now, this news comes as US President Donald Trump announced that he was going to have conversations over the phone with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin about the US's ceasefire proposals. Now, amidst this news, the Ukrainian government has spelled out its red lines for any future negotiations with Russia, and they are no more lost territory and the return of all kidnapped children deported into Russia by the Russian authorities to be brought back to Ukraine and reunited with their Ukrainian families. It's Oz Katerji reporting from Kyiv for TVP World.
The European Commission has confirmed that it viewed reports on sonic weapons being used against peaceful protesters in Serbia. It is also expecting Serbian authorities to launch an investigation into the matter. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, will meet with the Serbian President Alexander Vučić next week.
Regarding reports on the use of sonic weapons. So we have seen those reports and the allegation about this use of these instruments against protesters. We expect now a swift, transparent and credible investigation into those allegations. We recall that under European human rights law, authorities must protect assembly participants from harm or violence.
After months of protest, Serbian President Alexander Vučić says, "We got the message." Demonstrators are demanding legal and political accountability, blaming Vučić for a tragic accident in Novi Sad last November. 15 people died when a train station canopy collapsed, and protesters say corruption within his government was to blame.
We got the message. Everyone in power needs to understand the message. When so many people are protesting, we are going to have to change and learn from it. On the other hand, I also hope that others have understood the message coming from majority in Serbia, that the citizens of Serbia do not want color revolutions, that the citizens of Serbia do not want violence, and that the citizens of Serbia want to change power through elections.
Czech Foreign Minister Jan Lipavsky says political will is needed to take action ahead of a meeting of EU foreign ministers on Monday. The Czech Republic plans to raise concerns over the future of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, after US funding for the news service was cut.
Do we see a value in such an organization, in such a broadcasting to countries like Russia, Belarus, Iran and many others? And if we do see such a value, what are we ready to do to keep such a service in place, in our favor? That's a very broad question. We don't know what will be the development on the US side, and we don't know what is the possibility. So we should be we should be also clear on the side of our expectation, but we have to start with the political readiness to do something. So I will ask for the something today, and of course Czechia is very proud hosting Radio Free Europe in Prague for 25 years.
And now to North Macedonia, where a devastating nightclub fire claimed at least 59 lives and left 155 people injured on Saturday. The country's Prime Minister later revealed that the venue had been operating with a falsified license. Authorities have launched an investigation into the cause of the fire and the club's controversial permit.
What started as a fun Saturday night soon turned deadly.
The fire broke out. Everyone started screaming and shouting, "Get out, get out!" But unfortunately, there was only one exit, and there were 1,500 people inside. Then everyone started pushing each other, so I headed for the exit. I don't know how, but I ended up on the ground. I couldn't get up, and at that moment, people started stomping on me. My sister died. I was saved, and she wasn't.
At least 59 people did not make it out alive, and 155 have been left injured. Families of the victims gathered outside hospitals where their loved ones were transported with the hope of hearing some good news. Some were sent to Bulgaria and Turkey for treatment. The North Macedonian president came to offer her words of support. She also touched on the suspected cause of the fire.
You've probably heard about the pyrotechnics. This is something that one can predict will happen, considering that it is not the first time we have encountered something like this.
But the cause of the fire is just one of the major focuses of the investigation launched into the incident. Another is a falsified license the club operated on.
Here is the forged license. It was issued on March 13, 2024, signed by the former State Secretary of the Ministry of Economy. The same license also looks like this. The numbers in the archive are false, and the document for the nightclub was archived as a foreign investment.
More than 20 people are being treated as suspects in this case. 15 are already in custody, including a former state secretary in the North Macedonian Ministry of Economy.
Former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili was sentenced on Monday to 4.5 years in prison for illegally crossing the Georgian border. This adds to a series of convictions for the politician who has been in jail since 2021. With this latest ruling, Saakashvili's total prison sentence now stands at 12.5 years, according to the judge. The earliest he could be released is April 2034. Just last week, he was sentenced to 9 years for embezzling state budget funds. He was already serving a 6-year sentence for abuse of power after being jailed upon his return to Georgia in 2021. Much of his time behind bars has been spent in a prison hospital. Saakashvili and his supporters claim the charges against him are politically motivated. He has staged several hunger strikes while in prison. And that concludes World News at the top of the hour. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.